So for most of my adult life, I have felt this draw to trees. I guess you could say I have this pretty weird fascination with them, but I feel connected with them. And I honestly find like comfort, peace, and wisdom in trees. And some of my closest friends know me by my unique relationship with trees. I've been known to hang around trees, hug trees, climb trees, talk to trees, and even like lean on them in challenging times. So you might be thinking, that sounds kind of cool, or this dude's a friggin' weirdo, but nonetheless, today I want to teach you 3 wisdom lessons that we can learn from the mystical beings that we call trees. Lesson number 1, looking at the roots of the trees. The roots of the trees reach deep down into the earth, giving them the most solid foundation. And so similarly, as human beings, we want to have a strong foundation to build our lives upon. And everyone's foundation is going to look a little bit different. So in my active addiction, the foundation of my human tree was drugs and alcohol, which came to find out is not a very good foundation. Nowadays, my foundation is my relationship with my higher power. So we want to be like the roots of trees and have a really solid foundation. In fact, the foundation, or the roots, should be the strongest part of your human tree. And the reason for that is because I know if the rest of my structure crumbles, my foundation, my relationship with my higher power, will never die, and it'll always be there. Now for lesson number 2, we'll be looking at the trunk of the tree. Now the trunk of the tree, it's grounded and strong. Even when the branches are up there moving all over the place in the wind, the trunk stays grounded. And as you probably know, as humans, it can be really helpful to stay grounded. And if you're anything like me, it can be hard to stay grounded with a mind that's scattered all over the place in a million directions, right? Thinking about the past, thinking about the future, zoning out, thinking about what might go wrong, thinking about what I'm going to have for dinner, how I'm going to get to the gym, what's going to happen with work, the vacation next year, and yada, yada, yada. And when we get caught up in that scattered space, we're missing out on life, and we're not there for people. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to miss out on life. I want to be grounded and present. I want to be reliable. I want to be that person that people can lean on in hard times. And so just like the roots can be different for each person, the trunk can look different for each person too. So in my active addiction, my trunk looked like getting high, partying, and typically looking for a rush that often came in the form of breaking the law. Not a very good trunk. Nowadays, my trunk looks like spending time with loved ones, meditating, playing, working out, reading, and using crystals. Now we are at lesson number 3, and I'm sure it's no surprise that for lesson number 3, we're going to look at the branches. Now the branches of the tree move with the wind. They bend, they're flexible, and they don't resist the storm. And likewise, as humans, we should strive to be flexible and to adapt. So then when those heavy winds come, when that storm comes, when those challenging times come, we're able to bend and adapt and go with the flow instead of resisting what is. And honestly, I think in my active addiction, my branches were dead. I resisted and fought everything. It was pretty wild. I was hiking recently, and I spotted a tree that looked exactly like my human tree in active addiction. Fear and selfishness were my masters. And my foundation was faulty, so I really had no way to grow healthy branches. And so today my branches are constantly changing, but most recently it's looked like waking up with my boys in the middle of the night when they're sick or they can't sleep, answering a phone call in the middle of the night when someone needs to get into treatment, or spontaneously driving 2+ hours to go see my grandfather who's in the hospital yet again. And just like every other part of the tree, your branches are going to look different from person to person. And so remember, the branches are all about going with the flow, despite my selfish desire to want to be in control. So in wrapping up, I want to make 2 important notes. The first is to remember that in order to have a healthy tree, you want all 3 components to nourish and support each other. For example, when I pray and meditate as a way to stay grounded with my trunk, that supports my foundation, my relationship with my higher power, which also helps my branches so that I can be less controlling. And the second thing to note, which is hugely important, is that your tree is not going to be perfect. I had to replant my entire tree and start from scratch at 23 years old. There are times where I still resist what is, and I have a branch that needs to die off. There are so many times when my mind wanders off and I become an ungrounded, unpresent person. And that's okay. It's all a part of the learning process. And just like the tree, we have to make sure not to beat ourselves up. One of the best things that I learned in Alcoholics Anonymous is that it's okay to constructively review our day, but we have to be very careful not to drift off into this morbid reflection or worry or remorse, because then we're not useful to anybody. Time for the question of the day. Please let me know what your human tree looks like. Let me know what the foundation looks like. Let me know what the trunk and the branches look like. Please drop some comments. I would love to hear from you guys. And as always, if you like today's video, please go ahead and subscribe. Check out my other videos, and I'll see you next time.